Hello everyone, Xanaro Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and in today's video we are going to do a Digimon Market Watch, but specifically I want to go through the cards from the newest set, the EX09 Versus Monsters set. I'm going to go through all the top cards here and then just go into a little conversation about what I think, will be predicted to be some of the best cards that you can try and get from the set and what cards maybe you should invest in the set. Now, with that being said, do not blame me. Do not take everything that I say as word and go and do all these things if I gave you an opinion based off of them, because it is at the end of the day your money that you will be gambling with. But you can see across the board here at the moment, all of the SP hits for the set are sitting at above $90. But when you go to, actually look at any of these to see how many have sold, there haven't been a ton that have actually sold, right? View more data on this one. We've only gotten, 2 sales for the particular Andromon, and a lot of them haven't had a lot of sales as well. But I think that a good price for a lot of these cards, I would imagine the Metal Greymon, the order they're in here is probably the order of like how expensive they're going to be. I do foresee the Metal Greymon SP art sitting above the rest because it is a Metal Greymon. It has a generic security tag +1. I do think the effect of it is really, really strong too. And you can see here 4 sold listings at the moment, which is not bad for this card. But I would imagine, SP cards usually fall pretty quick after sets come out. And it is interesting to still see these kind of this high. I would imagine, if you get SPs anywhere between $50 to $75, I feel like you can't be too upset about that. Whereas if you go to, the last set, some of those SPs are like $20, $30 cards. I do think that these will probably hold a little bit higher of a value than some of the other cards from the last set, right? But I do imagine that if there is one that you want to get a hold of, is going to be the Metal Greymon for sure. This card is awesome, beautiful card. There's some low listings here for 103, but I would not pay that much for the card right now. Give it a couple weeks to see when they come out. Like I said, the set's only been out a little over a week now, and I think these prices will drop. But the Machinedramon rare pool, there are a lot of people who are Machinedramon fans, and this card has had 5 copies of it sold so far, all over $200. And now I do know that the hype is dying down. You can see it was listed here at about $300, the high being $324 and the last sold being $237. But even this card as well will fall. Like, I do think that this is a pretty high price for this card being a 2-star Machinedramon. But at the end of the day, Machinedramon is one of the most collectible, the people who love Machinedramon, myself included. I am actually building 2 different versions of the deck. This version of the deck being DM related, and then the old version. But I do think that maybe this one will be the one that sits around like $150 at the end of the day, if we can go based off of what some other cards of similar value, like the Mastimon and such, that were chase cards, sitting around that amount of value. But with all the special SPs hits in the set out of the way, let's get into a little bit more of, some of these other cards that are more normal, that you're going to see on a more normal basis. And we have the Omnimon Alter S alternate art and the Machinedramon alternate art, both sitting at above $40 in value, which is really, really good, especially for the Omnimon, considering that, most people consider this card and the Kaguya-mon as the 2 best cards from the set. And seeing that the Omnimon Alter S is, selling all day for $40 is a good sign for a lot of people. Already over 100 listings sold. I think that you try to get this card now, to be honest. I know it's still pretty pricey, but this card, it's an Omnimon. The art is really, really sick. I myself was lucky enough to trade and pull through the Omnimons to get the 3-card art. It is part of a 3-card art. With that being, the... Oh, wow, now we got to pull them up. The Blitz Greymon. Let's see if we can find that Crescarumon. Wow, he's down here. Did I miss it on the first page? No way it's that low. Alright, well, we're already seeing one that you probably need to pick up if it's not even on the first 2 pages. And that's going to be, yeah, there we go. This Crescarumon. I do think that this card, I would absolutely pick this up right now. $9 for this? Oh, all day. Pick up Crescarumon. Low listings of $9. I would pick this one up right now, because the art between combination of having the Blitz Greymon over here on the right as his left arm, and the Crescarumon on the other side as his other arm. These combination art together is going to make these cards really sought after. And to be honest, the Blitzgreymon sitting at a market price of $13, I would pick both of these up right now too. You're not going to be upset getting both of these cards for under $15 because later they may go up that much. Now, the only thing I think that is keeping them a little bit cheaper is that these are rares in the set, which is a little disappointing that they made them rares, but these are the two most important rares in the set because they are the version 1 and 2 DM traits, and whether you're building the Omnimon DNA Digivolution deck, or you're building just a straight up DM deck, these two cards are really, really important for you to pick up. And I would say pick them up now. Go ahead and pick these up. You won't feel bad about it. Even if they both drop to being like $5 or $6 cards later, at least you can say you have them. And I do think that that would not be a bad investment. With the Blitzgreymon being a little more expensive since it is going into, you know, just some Greymon decks, with it having that generic security attack plus 1 effect, I can see a lot of other decks really abusing that card. Now, went on a little tangent talking about the Omnimon, but the Omnimon is expensive, the alt art for it. I would maybe, I say grab them. You're not going to be upset about it, I don't think, at this price range. If you can get them for $30, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable for trying to do that. 40 seems a little high for the card right now. I don't think it's going to be like a generic good Omnimon like we saw, excuse me, with the Omnimon X. But it is going to be a really strong card and definitely the most powerful card in the set. Now, going on to, you know, saying that the Omnimon alt art is the most expensive alt art in the set says a lot for how strong that card is, because obviously your secret rare alt arts are what you look for to be the most expensive cards in the set, and the machinedramon alt art has a market price at $40 right now, and the regular one has a market price going for $27.91, so $28 and $40 respectively. You would think that these would be two of the more expensive cards, but it just shows how strong the Omnimon is, being the most expensive alt art in the set right now. But the machinedramon alt art does look so sick with his little digital monster digivice crest kind of thing image in the background, which is super cool too. I love the art on this card. I was fortunate to be able to trade for one. Now you can see on pre-sale prices they were listed astronomically. No one bought them for those prices, but I think $35-$40 for this card is not a bad deal. Consider it is a secret rare and it is a machinedramon, and the art is beautiful. But you can look to see this one fall down a little bit because I do think people are hyped for machinedramon, and while I do think that now machinedramon decks have really strong legs to stand on where you could do some really strong decks with them, I do not think that it'll be like a, you know, a high tier deck. But when these decks get online and we start to see people kind of like figure out the builds a little bit with them better, I do think that machinedramon can be a nice rogue playing deck in the future to come. Now, we've already talked about the alt art. The regular art you can see here has had a lot of sales. 400 total sold so far. This card, I can see it's a secret rare, right? If you're spending $20 on the secret rare, that seems pretty fair. I feel like in most sets, secret rares should sit around the $20 to $30 range, and that's a healthy price at the moment for the machinedramon. Now, one thing that is really hyped in the set is the Kagumon alt art. Everything for Kagumon related. The Kagumon alt art is sitting at, you know, a market price of $27 with some low listings at $23. And the Hanimon limited foil, if you pull the Hanimon limited foil or the Eyes on Scatter Mode limited foil or the Negamon limited foil from the set, you are eating really good out of your box because that really ups the value of the box big time. Going on the Kagumon first, I do think that this is the second best card in the set. This card is so powerful, and I do think that this finally puts Puppets as a tier one of the best decks of format decks. I think that you could play this deck, take it to competitive tournaments, and do really, really well, and it's all because of the support that it got with this Kagumon. The rest of the line is really, really strong too, but it's this Kagumon that is really the star of the show, and I think in a more generic, like what it does for a deck sense, I would put the Kagumon over the Omnimon, but the Omnimon is definitely a game ender, whereas the Kagumon is definitely like a very important piece of the deck, and I do think that this takes a 4 of this card in your decks now for Puppets over your other cards because this one is just so absolutely strong. But some low listings sitting at $23. If you can get this alt art for under $30, I think you do it right now because this deck is about to go through the ceiling because the hype is going to be real and this deck is going to start performing once everybody figures out their deck list. With that being said, the new rookie that is super good in the deck, having that opponent's turn once return when one of your opponent's Digimon attacks by deleting one of your other Digimon in that attack, you are straight negating attacks, which is way better than redirecting and blocking, and you want your stuff to die so that way you then get your effects to pop off, and it is also a searcher in your hand, so you do not mind playing this by trashing a card to return one Digimon card with Puppet and the trait from your trash to your hand. That is so good to be able to get cycle searching through your graveyard back to your hand really important card. In limited foils, certain limited foils throughout sets always hold value, and it's the popular one. So if you pull this one or this Osmon Scatter Mode, you're really winning in your box, and this card is so strong and important for the Negamon deck here. The Egg and the Osmon Scatter Mode both being over $15 is absolutely insane right now. We've seen limited foils stay, like these kind of limited foils stay over 10, between $10 and $20. Very, very relevant ones, and I think that these two will hold their value. If you could get someone to trade them for you on the end of $15, if you're spending $15 on each of these, I think that's not a bad deal, considering like these limited foil cards are harder to pull than maybe even some alt arts in the sets, right? You'll see these cards hold higher value than certain alt arts because they are really needed in the deck, and the only way you can get a foil version of them. I do like the foil cards. I know some people are usually upset about those, but I think that they are really cool. Now, I don't want to go through every card in the set, but I do want to touch on this first page because I do think it is very, very important to go through these cards. We have omnimon Core alternate art bringing up, $16 to lowest listing, $17 market price. I think that that is a solid price for this card. I do think that this deck is kind of getting slept on right now. I know that the price has jumped up a little bit recently in the last couple of days from other people realizing that the deck can be kind of a menace. It can have some issues, getting de-digivolved and controlling the board that way, but if you pull this in your box, you won't be upset either. And, you have a lot of ways to really win in boxes in this set because you get 3 different altars, right? Say you get, Omnimon or machinedramon and then Kagumon or one of these foils, you're already doing really good on the box. And there's a lot of ways to win and lose in this box because some of your alt arts can be off of the first page, right? But the Omnimon Core being a $16, $18 card is not bad, and it's a really sick art. Like, this art is really, really good. I like the art on him. Really cool card. I do not like cards that mess with the breeding area, though. Anyone who follows the channel knows that I don't like when decks mess with the breeding area. I do feel like this one is a little more tame in what it does. It doesn't feel as broken and busted and stupid as, like, Royal Knights and some of these other, 7 Great Demon Lord stuff. This one seems a little more tame in what it does with the breeding area, but I do not like when the game designers start messing with the breeding area because we've seen such an issue now with Royal Knights being such a menace in the meta, and they're never going to hit that deck, and I do think it's an issue. That is a topic for another day, but I don't like breeding effects, but this one is a little more tame than some of the other busted breeding effects in the game. It is a very annoying deck to play against. It controls your board. It blocks you out. It kills all your stuff. It's really strong. It does take some setup. So I guess really aggro decks can, have some way to clear it in the first 3 turns because it is going to take them 4 turns to be able to get this core out, getting the eggs in the trash. Now, coming up, Metal Greymon Altarius Mode alternate art. Now, there is some clumping from what I've seen in data and everyone posting on like chat forums and stuff like that, is that there are clumpings where like if you pull the Sagittarius mode altar, those particular boxes are all heavy in like Sagittarius mode. That case for like the SRs for Sagittarius mode, right? So if you see someone pull the Sagittarius mode altar, it most likely means that that case is the one that has more printings of the Weregarurumon Sagittarius mode, the regular SR. Whereas if someone pulls the alt art for the Metal Greymon, there has been a little. Hopefully, the guys who do the data on that actually like make the videos and kind of show that. I know like DigiPen and a couple others people do that, but hopefully if that's true or not, like I said, I'm just going off speculation what people have been saying, but in my experience as well, this happened from our first case. I pulled one actual copy of Metal Greymon Altarius mode from all those boxes, and then my friend pulled one. We had 2 SRs from that entire case of Metal Greymon Altarius mode, and then the one alt art of this card in that case, which is a little interesting to go off data, whereas I think like 9 different Weregarurumon Sagittarius most regular arts and 3 alt arts were pulled from our cases at the shop. So just something to know here. With these being a little bit harder to get. Interesting to see that the Metal Greymon is sitting at $17 as the market price, $16 lowest listing, and then $9 for Weregarurumon Sagittarius mode. It's because the Metal Greymon goes in all the Metal Greymon decks, and I think people are sleeping on the Weregarurumon stuff, right? But coming up as our number 1 super rare from the set that is not an alt art, it is going to be the Kagumon and the Omnimon. No surprises here. Both these cards sitting, $15, $16 market price. You can find some low listings between 10 to 15 between the two, but these are the 2 most sought after SRs in the set because they are the 2 most powerful cards. With that being said, obviously the Kokishimon, the limited foil for this card, is going to be very expensive because of the deck, and the Garurumon limited foil being one of the limited foils that goes in the Digital Monsters deck, being a really high card too. One card that I am a little surprised that is so low as an alt art is going to be the Ty and Matt alternate art tamer here. When this tamer is really, really good, you know, in the DM deck as well, but in the other Omnimon DNA deck, you can play this card and it is really, really good. And the art is sick too, right? Like, I love the art. So I would pick these up all day at $10 if you could find listings for $10, 10 to 15 bucks all day. Get your play sets of these. I think that this one is a good buy right now, being so low, because we've seen these Ty and Matt tamers kind of shoot up in the $20, $25 range from previous sets. Now, we've already touched on the Blitz Greymon Ace. One card that I am probably going to buy my playsets of after this video is going to be the Chimeramon alt art. And then, let's see, we have to go to the second page to find the other Chimeramon. And then this is where your boxes can take a very drastic turn for the worse. If you pull a Chimeramon, it is one of the secret rares in the set. The regular art is only $10 for it. I do think that this is a great time to pick them up for $10. Anyone who wants to play this deck is going to need a playset of 4 of them, and it is such a, you know, really good, powerful card for that deck. But I don't think that the deck is going to see, this card is going to be seen in a lot of other decks outside of its own deck, and it just very interesting to see it be so cheap. The alt art is, you know, 13 bucks. Market price $12. You see some low listings for 13. I would pick up your play sets of both of these cards if you want to play them right now. These are so low. I am very surprised to see Chimeramon being so cheap in this set, but there's just not very many people wanting to build this deck because I don't think it is very crazy competitive, but I'm building it because I love Chimeramon, I love machinedramon, I love their, you know, their aesthetics of combining different Digimon together to make this one ultimate being, and I think people are sleeping on Chimeramon, and the arts are sick. Like, look at this art. That is a beautiful card. The regular one, I'm not too crazy on, but I do like the watercoloring design of it. But that is definitely something you need to look out for if you do hit these secret rares. It does drastically take down the value you get from your box. But we're not opening boxes to get the value back, right? Like, you open them because it's fun and you're doing it. If you want to just buy singles, do that. But I do think that you should buy boxes from your local game stores to help support them because they've had to buy these boxes for you. So go there first and then go and try to buy your singles for other cards that you didn't pull. I didn't pull the Chimeramons for mine. I got the machinedramon, so I'll probably just buy my Chimeramons now that they are so cheap. And these analog youths, like Analog Youth and Analog Man being so low, around $10 each, like, pick those up. Those cards are not going anywhere. So cool. One thing to look at too that is a little disappointing is I think that Cernumon is such a strong card. I think that Wind Guardians are getting slept on, and you can get your alt art for this for around $5 to $8 right now, which I think is a steal because this card is also so beautiful. This art and the regular art for it, I think, are very beautiful cards. I do love all the arts for the cyborgs in the set. Now you're going to see a lot of these foils being higher than a lot of your super rares in the set because foils are a little bit harder to get, and there are so many of them, so that's what makes them hard to get as well. But you see your Cernumons. If you want to build a Wind Guardians deck, you could do it for so cheap. These cards are beautiful, and I do think that Wind Guardians is one of the cool, you know, DNA Digivolving decks that can really, you know, do some cool stuff. And the arts are just so sick. I'm so excited to, you know, finally put this deck together and have the big level 7 the DNA Digivolve, which I think the deck was missing. The Puppetmon Ace has been a nice addition to the deck, but we do need that, right? But that is going to be the Market Watch. I know that this is my first time really doing like a set overview of this. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you want to see more Digimon Market Watches? I like doing them a little bit like this instead of pulling up each card going through it, so you guys can kind of get my overall basis, what to think of this. And I do think that this set is worth buying. I think that some of these prices are probably a little bit higher than they should because a lot of people haven't been buying the boxes, but I think you should go out, buy these boxes. A lot of these cards are so much fun to play with, and I can't wait to build some decks and see what everyone else builds and plays in their locals and on these webcam tournaments that we got coming up. But don't forget to leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. Peace.